This shit more than a game.
Perfect.
We are 3 short yet long weeks away from the 2025 NFL draft, and we are getting to the intense season where people are putting up or shutting up with who they want to take for the New Orleans Saints with the number 9 pick. And I love this time of year because you can have somebody say, I want this player, and you'll get 10 responses. And 5 would call that an amazing pick. 5 other responses would say that's one of the worst picks in franchise history. What are you doing? And you can do that for 5, 6, 7, 8 players. No matter what, you're going to get a gumbo pot mixed reaction of if the fans love this pick or if the fans hate this pick. I love it. That's one of my favorite things about the draft. It's one of the first skits that I did that actually blew up. And I'm actually probably, here's an exclusive for you guys, going to recreate that skit for the 2025 draft on how Saints fans, but generally fans in general, say that 3 times fast. Fans in general are during the draft. Everybody's an expert. Everybody knows everything, right? Everybody knows if this player is going to be great or if this player is going to be a bust. Everybody just knows already the future. I mean, if fans knew the future so much, I don't know why our fans aren't millionaires. They should be lottery winners, right? They know everything. They know the future when it comes to the player prospects. I love it. That's why I'm glad I'm not an analyst, because John Barnes never pretends to be the smartest guy in the room. John Barnes damn sure never pretends to be an expert. I'm a fan just like everybody else. How casually watch college football just like everybody else. I didn't study game film. I didn't watch hours upon hours of the games of all these available players. I'll watch it like you. I go by the eye test. I look at the highlights. I read maybe a scouting report here or there, and I make my best predictive guess on who I think the Saints should take, which is why tonight I'm going to reveal who John Barnes, and I know you guys have been waiting with a bated breath to know that who does John Barnes want to take with the number 9 pick. But I am also opening up this episode to you guys to hear what you guys want to take and who you guys want to take, with the number 9 pick in the 2025 NFL draft for the New Orleans Saints. Because here's the great thing about the John Barnes show. Here's the great thing about when you are this shit more than the game certified. This is a no judgment zone like with Planet Fitness. I'm not going to be like, what the hell you mean you want this to pick? It's free game. You can come on here comfortably in your own skin and authentically say, I want this pick and I don't give a damn what the fans say. So tonight, we'll open up the floor to you guys, whether you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, MySpace, Instagram, YouTube, no matter what, all opinions are welcome because it's the draft time. It's an exciting time for all 32 fan bases to be a team, to be a fan of your team. And it's an exciting time to know that, ladies and gentlemen, this shit more than a game and this shit more than a stream. Welcome to the John Barnes Show.
This shit more than a game. We ain't playing no field. We fans born kinda wild. Fire in our hearts revealed. Yeah, we shout and we cheer, our passion loud and clear. Together we rise, this love no compromise. Holler at the screen, repping our dream team. From the sidelines we scream, living in this fan's dream. Yeah, we shout and we cheer, our passion loud and clear. Together we rise. This love, no compromise.
This shit more than a game.
And it's been too long, folks. It's been too long. So y'all know, I hope you haven't forget. It hasn't been that long, but it's been a long time. How we start off every John O'Barnes show. Leave a this shit more than the game in the chat right now. We have a good show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of technically a special show. Because if you know, you know. This is the first show that I am doing in the brand new state-of-the-art this shit more than the game studios. Excuse me for my progress, or what they say, pardon my progress, but there's nothing in the background right now. But give it a few weeks to a few months, and you'll see a state-of-the-art man cave as we transition from our prior studio to our new studio. But I am surrounded right now. Like I'm gonna try to show you guys. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit behind the scenes, all right? Just a little bit. You see, I got some things in the background. I still haven't cleaned all of it up and put it all up yet, but I got some things that I'm gonna have hanging nice and polished on my wall, and it's going to be a great man cave / this shit more than the game studios worthy for you guys, the this shit more than the game community. I mean, look, while I'm here on the show, I got this. This is actually a Game 1 armband from the one and only LeBron James. Yeah, that's been kind of collecting dust in my apartment the past few years, but it's definitely going to go somewhere nice and prominent in the this shit more than the game studios. Hey, actually, by the way, that reminds me, somebody last week called me out on Twitter randomly saying, LeBron James will hate you. LeBron James doesn't hate me that much if I got a signed armband from the guy personalized to John O'Barnes. It's funny how that goes. What else I got? I got like I remember the Alvin Kamara cereal. Remember, that was one of my first little collaborations I did when people noticed me and say, hey, man, we want you to do a video for Alvin Kamara cereal. I got that. What else we got? Look at this. This is definitely going to go. If you know, you know. Like if you are a long-time John O'Barnes fan, you remember I used to do my streams and my videos. I had this big old thing in the background that's kind of going away for the past 2 seasons, but it will be back in the next few weeks to months. It will be back. What else we got, y'all? I'm showing y'all like the progress. Y'all seeing firsthand. I got my Stone Cold picture autographed by the GOAT himself, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I know what y'all are looking for, by the way. Y'all say, hold on, John, you can't do your show without your tag team partner. And I'm not talking about my wife. God bless her. My Stone Cold little plush buddy. Let's put that right there. We got to at least have him prominently in the background. All that to say, guys, this is for like the real people who know. When I actually proposed to my wife at a movie theater, and we had like the movie theater rented out, and we had the movie poster and everything. We got the family and everybody who was a part of the process. We got a lot of things, essentially, is what I'm saying, is that pardon my progress as I move, but this is all to the benefit of you guys. It's going to be a top-of-the-line studio for the top-of-the-line podcast that is the John O'Barnes Show, and for sure, we're going to have everything up and rolling and ready to go for football season. But for the next few weeks, it's going to be a little wonky, but I know you guys are going to be tuning in no matter what, because it's not about the background. It's about what's at the forefront. Remember that. Use that as a motivational. We ain't worrying about the background in the past. We worrying about the future in the forefront. And right now, the forefront is John O'Barnes and the this shit more than the game community, because we got a lot to talk about, y'all. I have not been on for the past 3 weeks, so a lot has happened. We are at the point of draft season where we're just like looking at our wristwatches. I know I ain't got one on. Looking at our wristwatches and going, God damn, when the draft, can it come already? Good Lord. We've seen all that needs to be seen. We've watched all the highlights. We've seen all the game film. We've read all the mock drafts. Everybody at this point knows exactly who they want their team to take with their respective draft pick. Every Saints fan damn sure knows right now who they want to take, a group of players that they feel will be worthy for us to take at the number 9 pick. There's nothing that's going to happen in these next 20 plus days that's going to make a fan say, oh, you know what? Maybe this guy is not the answer. Maybe this guy is the answer. Everybody knows by now who they want to take. And there is one guy, since this past weekend, the momentum and the pendulum has swung ferociously in his favor. And it has caused a whole bunch of opinions and outcry. And what a surprise, right? Because this guy's a polarizing player as it is. He was probably the most polarizing player in college football. I am talking about one, Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, University of Colorado State, son of Deion Sanders. It's Shedeur leans. Shout out to my guy Trizzy Trace on YouTube and Twitter for coming up with this term. Is it going to be Shedeur leans this coming April after the draft because a lot of momentum is now going to the fact that people think Shedeur Sanders is going to be a New Orleans Saint. And I want to know, how do you guys feel? I already see, I'm looking at the comments right now as I just put the chat up to the right of me. A lot of people have strong opinions about Shedeur Sanders and if he is worthy of the number 9 overall pick, if he can be a potential franchise quarterback to be the next Saints quarterback for the next decade or so. He is definitely probably the most polarizing player in the draft, and he's damn sure going to bring a ton of hype and excitement, whether you like him or not. He is going to make the Saints the most relevant that they have been arguably since Drew Brees walked out that empty Superdome. Some people think that, he's going to breed the Deion Sanders circus that comes with it. I kind of disagree with that because, I mean, Deion Sanders is going to be busy coaching in Colorado. So how can the Deion Sanders circus travel with Shedeur when Deion Sanders is going to be in Colorado? Shedeur is his own man. He stands on his own 10 toes. Yes, Deion Sanders is his father, and yes, there's always going to be that Deion Sanders cloud above him, but the Shedeur Sanders. When I drafted Deion Sanders, we're drafting Shedeur Sanders. So I want to know what you guys think. Are you in favor of Shedeur Sanders being the number 9 pick? Now, there's a lot of other prospects that we're going to go through to see who you feel should be the number 9 pick for the New Orleans Saints, but certainly the most engagement-worthy player would be Shedeur Sanders, and certainly the most buzz for the past week, and definitely probably likely for the next 2 to 3 weeks, is going to be if Shedeur Sanders is going to be a New Orleans Saint. Now, you might be wondering, okay, where did the Shedeur Sanders hype come from? Because a lot of people thought that Shedeur Sanders was going to be a top 5, top 6 pick. So, the question becomes, is he even going to fall to number 9? A lot of experts seem to think that he will now be available at number 9. And then it begs the question, okay, if he's falling to number 9, is he that good of a prospect? Are teams going to take him high because he's the second best quarterback available after Cam Ward? Is he really that good, or is he just the best of what some are saying, a weak quarterback crop? Some fans are saying you don't have to reach high for someone like Shedeur Sanders. And you don't necessarily, I mean, Saints fans probably think that we really need a quarterback because they hate Derek Carr, but you can get a quarterback the year after. You can get a quarterback in 2 years. You can wait, like I've been advocating for the past damn near 2 years, for Arch Manning, and try to see if the stars align. And Arch Manning is the first quarterback that we drafted in the first round since we drafted Archie Manning 40 years ago. But some people think that Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. Some people think that Shedeur Sanders will not only bring a buzz to New Orleans that has not been seen since we went on that crazy run from 2017 to 2020, but also that Shedeur Sanders is that guy, and that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a superstar in this league, and that we are going to regret passing on him if he's available the same way we regret passing on Lamar Jackson for Marcus freaking Davenport. I am opening up the floor to you guys this week. I want to know your opinions about Shedeur Sanders. And if you're asking, well, again, how is Shedeur Sanders suddenly, look at the odds, y'all. This is from Ryan Walker, the great columnist at the Times-Picayune. Shedeur Sanders is now the favorite by FanDuel to get drafted by the Saints. And y'all know Vegas always has a little bit of intel. I mean, these people at Vegas don't make odds for the head of it. They always know where the tea leaves are going. If you want to go and open up your sports betting apps right now and wanted to bet on where Shedeur Sanders is going to go, the favorite, which means that you would have to put down a lot of money just to make some type of net return, would be the New Orleans Saints. We are the favorites, according to Vegas, to land Shedeur Sanders. Oh, the buzz did not stop there, though, guys. The buzz did not stop there because Mel Kiper, arguably the most prominent draft analyst in the world, last week, 2 weeks ago, he had Jaxson Dart in his first mock draft. He put out his latest mock draft yesterday, and who did he have the Saints taking with the number 9 pick? Shedeur Sanders. That's right. Mel Kiper in his latest mock draft has Shedeur Sanders falling down to number 9, and he says if Shedeur doesn't go to the Giants, there aren't many clear landing spots for him in the top 10, and he could slide. He could see a team trading up for him. Maybe even the Saints might trade up for him, which will cause even more bedlam. Like, damn, we have the number 9 pick, and we're still trying to trade up just to get Shedeur Sanders. Do we love him that much? But most of these rosters are already set at quarterback in the top 10. This is a great outcome for New Orleans, though. I like this matchup a lot. Shedeur is Mel Kiper's top-rated quarterback, and his accuracy jumps off the tape. He completed 74% of his throws last season, despite being under constant pressure. And we all know Colorado's offensive line was not one to write home about. Playing in the NFC South with good weather and few indoor stadiums would ease any concerns people have about his arm strength. And he would not be forced to play right away. Derek Carr, you Saints fans are going to love this part, will be the Saints starter for at least another season. Shedeur can sit behind him for at least a year before taking over. So if you got Mel Kiper, the most prominent draft analyst, mocking Shedeur Sanders to number 9 to the New Orleans Saints, obviously there is now a ton of buzz. But the biggest buzz comes from the horse's mouth himself. Well, technically, the horse's mouth would be Shedeur, but maybe the horse's mouth's father. Because listen up, y'all, to what Deion Sanders said this past weekend at Colorado's showcase of all of their players for draft scouts to come to, when he was asked about the possibility of Shedeur Sanders coming to New Orleans.
The father, Deion Sanders, wanted to be involved in where his son lands.
What would I be involved for?
Like, yeah.
This is my show. I got this. I'm the band director here. I'm good. I'm straight. I keep telling everybody I'm good here. They didn't believe me, so we had to ink it. So I'm good. I ain't going nowhere.
Well, it has been an incredible atmosphere here in Boulder, Colorado for the Ain't Hard to Find showcase here. We got a lot of Buffaloes working out, and I'm telling you, a who's who of NFL personnel that are here. We immensely appreciate you joining us here on SportsCenter.
I got us in with this. I like these colors, though. Don't you like these colors?
Great. They look great on you. I'm trying to get some gear on the way out.
Wink. I like these colors. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to play that again because it might have ran over somebody's heads. But again, listen closely to what Deion Sanders said at the end of his interview, unprovoked. And listen to what then Louis Riddick says afterwards. I'm going to play it one more time. See if you catch it.
The father, Deion Sanders, wanted to be involved in where his son lands.
What would I be involved for? This is my show. I got this. I'm the band director here. I'm good. I'm straight. I keep telling everybody I'm good here. They didn't believe me, so we had to ink it. So I'm good. I ain't going nowhere.
Well, it has been an incredible atmosphere here in Boulder, Colorado for the Ain't Hard to Find showcase here. We got a lot of Buffaloes working out, and I'm telling you, a who's who of NFL personnel that are here. We immensely appreciate you joining us here on SportsCenter.
I got us in with this. I like these colors, though. Don't you like these colors?
Great. They look great on you. I'm trying to get some gear on the way out.
I like these colors.
Folks, Deion Sanders is a smart man. He doesn't just say anything to say it. There's only one team in the NFL that has the colors that match Colorado's, and that is your New Orleans Saints. Deion Sanders said, without saying, he wants Shedeur Sanders in New Orleans. And then Louis Riddick next to him says, wink, wink. He's saying the quiet part out loud, folks. He is saying the quiet part out loud without saying it. Deion Sanders, and we know how strict and how tough and how protective he is of his son, and saying that, oh, I want my son to go to the best situation where I know he can thrive, is saying he wants Shedeur Sanders in New Orleans. He ain't talking about the Steelers, y'all. I don't want to go to the Steelers do not have black and gold. The Steelers have black and yellow. Y'all heard the Wiz Khalifa song, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. There was only one team. There was only one team that has the colors of Colorado. And Deion Sanders went on national TV last weekend and said, unprovoked, I like these colors. Wink, wink. Deion Sanders wants his son, Shedeur Sanders, in New Orleans. So we already have, if everybody's worried about, the Deion Sanders circus, and is Deion Sanders going to be like Archie Manning with Peyton and Eli and say, I don't want my son to go to New Orleans. I want my son to go to this place. Deion Sanders is saying, well, first he said, look, Shedeur's his own man. I'm going to let him do his thing. I respect that. Because, Lord knows if Deion Sanders tried to do what Archie Manning did for Payne and Eli, it would be World War III in the streets, right? How dare Deion Sanders can't be doing all that. Archie Manning could do it, but Deion Sanders can't tell me how that goes. But Deion Sanders said, I like the colors, black and gold. Deion Sanders is saying he wants Shedeur Sanders in New Orleans. So let the hype begin. Do you guys want? It's a yes or no question. Do you guys want Deion Sanders? Well, you might be getting Deion Sanders if you draft Shedeur. Do you guys want Shedeur Sanders in New Orleans? I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. Do I think Shedeur Sanders is a can't-miss prospect? No, I don't. Do I think Shedeur Sanders has the tools and can possibly be, with the right leadership, a great quarterback in this league? I absolutely do. Now we're facing a bit of the unknowns, right? Like if Sean Payton was the Saints coach still, I'd be like, hell yeah, you put any good prospect at quarterback with Sean Payton, and Sean Payton is going to maximize him. Look at Bo Nix. I mean, Sean Payton won games with Bridgewater, with Jameis Winston, with Taysom Hill, with Trevor Siemian for one half, but he won with Trevor Siemian for that one half against the Bucs. Sean Payton can make any quarterback look great. I know what I'm getting with Sean Payton. We are still in the unknown era of Kellen Moore and knowing how he moves his quarterbacks. But if Kellen Moore is as good with quarterbacks as we would like to hope as fans he can be with quarterbacks, I feel like how can you not be excited about the possibility of a Shedeur Sanders era in New Orleans with a quarterback guy at head coach? I would be excited. Do I think he's the be-all, end-all? Absolutely not. Will I be more excited in a year or two of his Arch Manning? Hell yeah. I'll be banging the drum hard for Arch Manning. I feel like Arch Manning, in my unexpert opinion, is going to be a star. But don't take my word for that. I'm just a fan. I mean, I'm genuinely saying that. Like, I don't know enough about Arch Manning. I just saw what I saw on TV, and I know his last name is Manning, that I'm like, oh, Arch Manning could be great in New Orleans. But I watched enough, and I'm sure you all did too. Colorado with Deion Sanders was must-see TV. So you've all seen what Shedeur Sanders can do. Now, we've seen the good and bad, right? And some can say where his O-line sucked, so that's why he has some of the problems and issues that he faced. That's valid points. But we also saw some things that may not be able to translate too much well in the pros, like Shedeur Sanders does indeed get happy feet, which, again, you can credit to his O-line for not being great, but sometimes it's hard to escape those habits. Once you develop happy feet as a quarterback in the pocket, it's very hard to unwash yourself of that going to another level. I mean, look at Derek Carr going into year 11 or 12 or whatever year Derek Carr is, and he still has happy feet. We saw Spencer Rattler. He had happy feet in college. He comes into the NFL. Granted, again, our O-line was not great last year because of the injuries. He had happy feet again. It is very hard to unteach having happy feet, which we would need to do to Shedeur Sanders, given how bad his O-line was and how much happy feet he had as a cause of that. He also felt like Shedeur Sanders has a very slow release. Now, the same can be said about one Andrew Christopher Breeze. Andrew Christopher Breeze did not have the best grades coming out of college, and everybody knew that he was going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right? Everybody has some, not everybody, but a lot of people had doubts about Drew Brees and says that, oh, he does not have the physical tools. He has a long release. He's 6 feet, wearing boots. He's not tall. Drew Brees had his detractors too, and his downtangibles, whatever the fucking word it is, about coming out of college. So Shedeur ain't the only quarterback. Very rarely do you have a quarterback prospect that analysts and fans alike gush over. I think the last one was Trevor Lawrence and Andrew Luck. And while those guys were great and Andrew Luck was possibly on his way to being a Hall of Fame career, I mean, at any point in their career, did you consider Andrew Luck or Trevor Lawrence now to be the best quarterback in the league? No. So we don't always get it right when it comes to analyzing quarterbacks coming out the draft. So Shedeur Sanders could easily wind up being a great top 5, top 3 quarterback in the league. To be fair, he can also wind up being very mediocre, very average. We don't know. We can only give our predictive guess as fans, and analysts can make their best educated guess with the game film and the workout tape and all that stuff that they have on the kid. But I saw enough under the bright lights to make me say, hey, if Shedeur Sanders is the pick, if Kellen Moore is saying, yo, Mickey, that's my guy who I want to hang my hat on throughout my tenure as a head coach, who am I to say hell with that? I would say to all Saints fans, even to the non-Shedeur Sanders believers, to believe. Because, I mean, hell has been hell for Saints fans for the past 4 years. So shit, if you can't get excited about Shedeur Sanders, then I don't know what you can get excited about. Because at worst, you can at least be excited that the Saints will be relevant again. That the national media is going to want to talk about the Saints again. That outside of New Orleans, fans are actually going to be interested in watching the Saints again. Hell, we might get a Sunday night football game again for the first time in years. The networks are actually going to want to have the Saints on national TV because Shedeur Sanders is a polarizing player that they know that the audience and the world wants to see. I enjoy that as a fan. I like when the Saints are popular. I like when the Saints are relevant. We have been irrelevant for the past 4 years. God bless Dennis Allen and God bless Derek Carr for all of their downfalls on the field, and even for when we were excited about the possibility of those two as a tandem. I always say, yeah, as exciting as I am about hopefully Derek Carr and Dennis Allen living up to what potential they might have as a quarterback head coach combo, I know that this is probably not a sexy tandem to the rest of the outside New Orleans audience. Like Derek Carr and Dennis Allen does not get fans up if you're living in Milwaukee, if you're living in Vermont, if you're living in California. You are not saying, I want to watch the New Orleans Saints with Dennis Allen and Derek Carr the way those same outside New Orleans fans say, I want to watch the New Orleans Saints with Drew Brees and Sean Payton. If you get Shedeur Sanders, Los Angeles, Milwaukee, Vermont, damn sure Colorado, Mississippi, even Atlanta, Georgia, is going to say, I want to watch the New Orleans Saints and I want to see what Shedeur Sanders does. And as a fan, I like that. I like my team being relevant. I like my team being in the news. Hell, as a content creator now, it would be amazing. I started doing content with the Saints when on a downfall of relevancy. I would love for the Saints to be relevant again because I guarantee you from a selfish standpoint, my numbers would go up. If the Saints draft Shedeur Sanders, I guarantee you the reaction video I do for that would be one of my most popular videos because goddammit, the New Orleans Saints will be relevant again outside of the New Orleans bubble. I will finally get fans from outside of Louisiana tuning into the John Bones show and seeing why this shit is more than a game because they're going to be taking notice of New Orleans again. That is what you get with Shedeur Sanders as a fan. I'm not talking as an analyst. I'm not talking about as a guy who's predicting winning the loss records. As a fan, I love that shit and I will welcome it. I will welcome it. I'm not going to bang on the door and say, draft Shedeur Sanders, draft Shedeur Sanders, draft Shedeur Sanders. But if Kellen Moore believes that Shedeur Sanders is a guy, to hell with all the outside noise. I will welcome him with open arms, and I will be excited, y'all, that our New Orleans Saints will finally, for the first time since Drew Brees walked out that empty Superdome, be relevant again and be worth the damn. And then time will tell if Shedeur Sanders is that guy or not. But for those few years where he's still a work in progress, God damn it, the New Orleans Saints will be relevant again. Fans will have something realistic to claim their hopes on to. With all due respect to Spencer Rattler, Spencer Rattler is a product of hype because fans are tired of Derek Carr. I hope that Spencer Rattler turns out to be great if that's the path that we go down. I got nothing against the kid. I cheer for everybody wearing black and gold. But the hype for Spencer Rattler came because of two things. One, because, like I said, he looks like Patrick Mahomes. So fans are like, oh, he looks like Patrick Mahomes. He might as well be half as good as Patrick Mahomes, right? And two, because fans were tired and are tired of Derek Carr. So any quarterback, I could have been a backup quarterback, and fans would have been like, we want Jono. He's the guy. Shedeur Sanders is somebody that you can realistically be like, I understand why those fans are hyped up about him. It's Shedeur Sanders. So I'm speaking to you guys as a fan, not as a draft analyst, damn sure not as a draft expert. Simply as a fan. If you enjoy the Saints being popular or relevant the way I do, you will be very happy if in 3 weeks, those colors that Deion Sanders likes stays on his son and Shedeur Sanders becomes a New Orleans Saint. I'm very intrigued. I am very intrigued about the possibility of Shedeur Sanders coming to New Orleans. I mean, again, there's a lot of platforms and shows that you guys can go on and debate about the on-the-field potential of Shedeur Sanders. And it's all valid. It's all very valid. Like, if you don't think that Shedeur Sanders is going to be great in the NFL, that's a valid and a very worthy opinion to have. Again, I always say, I mean, shit, we all fans. Like, do we know? Did anybody know that Patrick Mahomes was going to be Patrick Mahomes? If they did, he would have went number 1 in the NFL draft. He would not have fallen to number 10 right before us, or number 9, whatever. I kind of try to block it out of my memory that we were 1 pick away from Patrick Mahomes. But you never know. You just never know. You can think, you can watch all the game film and all the combine workouts and whatnot and say, I know this guy's going to be great. I know this guy's going to be bad. I know that his game translates to the NFL. I know this game does not transfer. Yada, 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 yada. Only one way to find out. And if you are going to draft somebody, I mean, shit. It's more exciting than drafting an offensive lineman, right? I'm always a fan of drafting an offensive lineman because I'm like, shit, you got to build your lines. But I know how fans are. I can't buy an offensive lineman's jersey. Well, you damn sure can buy a Shedeur Sanders jersey. So it's going to be interesting to see. And it all comes down to really the New York Giants. If the New York Giants pass on Shedeur Sanders, the floodgates will officially be open for Shedeur Sanders to be there at number 9 for the New Orleans Saints. And then there's a lot of possibilities. Another team who might love Shedeur Sanders can call a team ahead of us in the draft lineup and say, hey, we want to trade up for Shedeur Sanders. If the Saints really love Shedeur Sanders the way some analysts seem to think that we might possibly love Shedeur Sanders, are we going to be bold enough in our belief of Shedeur Sanders to say, yeah, we know we're at number 9, but we don't want to risk it. We know this kid is going to be great. We will actually trade our number 9 pick and future picks just to move up a slot or two to guarantee that we draft Shedeur Sanders. Or do the Saints patiently sit, wait for their pick to come up and say, hey, he's there at number 9. We're going to take him. It's going to be interesting. That's why it's usually, if you're not making the playoffs, I say, you don't want to be stuck in mediocrityville, right? You don't want to be at 9 wins and having pick 15 or 16. You want to be either really bad to get a good draft pick or good enough to make the goddamn playoffs. I mean, we only won 5 games last year, so it's kind of crazy that we only have the number 9 pick with a 5-win team. Usually 5 wins gets you a top 5 pick, but that's just how bad the NFL was last year. But at least we have a high enough draft pick, y'all, that we're not in mediocrityville, like in the teens, just like, yeah, I guess we're going to have to draft the best player. Like the excitement now can come of the possibility of a Shedeur Sanders because he might be available for us with our high draft pick. Going to be very, very interesting. I know Falcons fans, ironically, I see some in the chat right now, are going to talk so much shit about Shedeur Sanders if he winds up coming to New Orleans, which I find very ironic because I told you guys just a few shows ago, Falcons fans' dream before they drafted Michael Penix was, man, if we could get Shedeur Sanders in Atlanta, you know how crazy that would be. Shedeur Sanders was their Arch Manning, right? Like Shedeur Sanders was, oh man, he's the homegrown kid because Deion Sanders obviously played his first few years in Atlanta. He's like a god in Atlanta. So how poetic would it have been for Shedeur Sanders to follow in his dad's footstep and put on that dirty bird, ugly ass uniform and play for the Falcons? But that's why fanaticism is so wonderful, because now I see the Atlanta Falcons fans in my chat saying, oh boy, Shedeur's going to be a bust. Knowing damn well if the Falcons had a shot at Shedeur Sanders and they would have took him, they would have been like, oh boy, prime time is back in Atlanta. And I'm not even saying that to call out Falcons fans. I'm really not Falcons fans. I'm not saying that to call you guys out because I embrace my hypocrisy too. If Arch Manning gets drafted by the Cowboys, the Panthers, or even to y'all, if Michael Penix winds up being a bust, I'm going to be like, well, dang, Arch Manning wasn't that good anyway. I never wanted Arch Manning like that anyway. Hell out of here with that. So I get it. I get why Falcons fans are now like, Shedeur Sanders? Yeah, okay. He's going to be great in New Orleans. That's just plain hate. That's what it's all about because you guys are fans. But Saints fans, I do wonder, because I know it's very polarizing, how do you guys feel about the possibility of Shedeur Sanders coming to New Orleans? Now, I saw a comment. Let me try to see what we got from fans in the chat talking about the possibility. My guy, Saint G, on Twitter, he says, I just go with whatever Nick Underhill says. So I do not want Shedeur Sanders at number 9. Now, we all know Nick Underhill is an amazing, incredible Saints writer and analyst for our team. And he actually is not high on Shedeur Sanders. He actually thinks it would be a bit of a reach if we took Shedeur Sanders at number 9. So we all know Nick Underhill is one of the smartest people, not only in New Orleans when it comes to the Saints, but just the whole NFL world. So yeah, his input is absolutely valued when it comes to that. So Nick Underhill saying that Shedeur Sanders isn't quite who he thinks is worthy of the number 9 overall pick is definitely something that if you're watching this from a non-fanatical standpoint, you definitely want to take into stock. I absolutely take that into account, Saint G. Brute Saint, my guy, welcome back to the show, Bruce Saint. It's been too long, says he will not be mad at Sanders, but I feel like 3 to 4 better players will be on the board before him. Now, that's a good point. and we're going to get to that in a few minutes. What about the other players? Do you reach for Shedeur Sanders, or do you take a player who you think is going to have a better overall career? Or do you skip on that player and you go with Shedeur because we all know how valuable the quarterback position is? So you're taking the gamble that Shedeur's peak is going to be worth the risk of passing on a possible all-pro positional player because you want to take the gamble on Shedeur Sanders and see if he can live up to his possible peak, which would mean obviously tremendous success for the New Orleans Saints because we all know how valuable a quarterback that thrives in the offense is for NFL teams. We saw it last year with Jaden Daniels, right? Joshua Jackson on Twitter. I'm so glad that people are engaging on Twitter, man. That's my biggest platform. And I know that people usually don't go on Twitter to watch streams. So I'm glad that everybody's watching. We have a good bit of people watching on Twitter tonight. Josh Jackson says, if number 9 calls out pick number 9, woo, child is going to be up in the city. So he's essentially saying if Drew Brees were to make the pick, that would actually make a lot of sense, right? Number 9, we had the number 9 pick. Drew Brees is the greatest number 9 of all time. And imagine if it is Shedeur Sanders, right? I can imagine if it's Drew Brees announcing Shedeur Sanders as the heir apparent. I know we've had like 5 heir apparents to Drew Brees since he retired, but as the next Saints quarterback, you're damn right, it would cause another carnival season in New Orleans. Mr. Philman, we're going to get to this in a little bit too, but he mentions how the Saints had a private workout with Jalen Milroe, and he was very impressive. Now, that's what we're going to also talk about in a few minutes. Shedeur Sanders technically isn't the only quarterback the Saints have done extensive research on. In fact, people are taking this 2 ways. Kellen Moore did not go to Shedeur Sanders in Colorado's workout. He went to a few other schools' workouts, but he did not go to Colorado. Now, some could take that as it being what it is on the surface level. Like, he doesn't have that much interest in Shedeur Sanders the way the media thinks that the team does. Others are saying, well, he doesn't want to show his hand the way Sean Payton showed his hand about Patrick Mahomes. So he's laying low and saying, I'm going to let my scouts give me all the input because I don't want to make us seem too interested in Shedeur Sanders and give the other teams in the NFL the bad signal that, oh, we got to watch out for the Saints. They might want Shedeur. So you can take that either way about Kellen Moore not being at the Colorado workouts this past weekend. Some are saying that it's a smokescreen and that he's doing it because he doesn't want to put too much attention on the fact that he's interested in Shedeur Sanders. Some are saying, no, it is what it is. He's not at Colorado because he doesn't have as much interest in Shedeur Sanders as fans and some media might want us to have in Shedeur Sanders. Bomb Swag seems like he would be very happy with Shedeur Sanders based on his comment. Who That for Life says he will be pissed if we take Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. Now, let me tell y'all something why we got some of these Jalen Milroe comments, because today, Jordan Schwartz put that sources told him that Jalen Milroe, quarterback at Alabama, had private workouts with the Saints and Browns that was described as impressive. Now, we got to also remember, y'all, this is draft season, right? So a lot of agents are feeding these insiders this information to make their clients look good. So you got to take everything with a bit of grain of salt when it comes to draft season. But either way, the fact is, obviously, Jalen Milroe did have a private workout with the Saints, which would make you think, the Saints ain't doing this for shits and giggles. The Saints probably have some interest in Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe. He also met privately with key members of the Steelers and the Jets prior to his last pro day. I will say this, because I know a lot of fans have strong opinions, as you can see at the one at the bottom right there. I'm not opposed to Jalen Milroe. He has a lot of physical tools that can't be taught the same way someone like Anthony Richardson does. But you see what Anthony Richardson is in Indianapolis right now, right? Like when Anthony Richardson lives up to his hype, he is incredible on that field. But when he doesn't live up to the hype, he looks really bad, and then he gets hurt a lot. So Jalen Milroe reminds me a bit of Anthony Richardson, that his highs are real high, but boy, his lows are real low. And so do you take someone like that with the number 9 pick? Hell no. Hell no. I do not take Jalen Milroe, and I sincerely hope and doubt that the Saints are going to seriously consider Jalen Milroe at the number 9 overall pick. Now, if they really do like Jalen Milroe, the question will become, do the Saints use the number 9 overall pick to trade back and gain some more picks, knowing that they could take Jalen Milroe later in the draft while also loading up on their treasure assets of draft picks? Or do they wait till the second round and see if Jalen Milroe is still there and go with an offensive skill position at number 9? The possibilities are endless, which is why it's exciting to have a top 10 pick, y'all. That's why I'm like, when I know my team isn't going to be in the playoffs, I want them to lose games. I don't apologize for that. I'm looking at the Pelicans game from the side of my eye right now, and I'm like, please, Pelicans, please do not win these last 4 games. Do not ruin your odds of the draft, because I don't know what Airline Drive be doing. Like, the team is bad and we're not making the playoffs. I don't give a shit about some meaningless win in April, the same way I don't give a shit about the Saints winning meaningless games in December when we already eliminated. Like, lose, motherfuckers. I'm trying to get a good draft pick so I can have some excitement like I have now for the Saints and the possibility of us taking a quarterback or whoever with the number 9 pick. I don't want Jalen Milroe with that number 9 pick, but I'm glad that we have the possibilities and the draft is opening up to all of these exciting possibilities with us having the number 9 pick. But if you see all these comments, y'all, about Jalen Milroe in the chat, even though we're talking about Shedeur Sanders right now, it is because there's a lot of smoke that, hey, we might be interested in Jalen Milroe. All that to also say, he's not the only one that we have interest in as well, because it was announced by Adam Schefter right before I went on air, actually. Y'all remember this name, right? It was the guy that Mel Kiper had us taking in his first mock draft. Jaxson Dart is also a guy who has had a private workout and an interview process with the New Orleans Saints. So you got Jalen Milroe, you got Jaxson Dart, you got the Shedeur Sanders hype. All this is to say, clearly, the New Orleans Saints seem interested in quarterbacks. I know fans aren't excited that Derek Carr is going to be back in 2025, but it sure seems like a divorce is inevitable, and we're just delaying the inevitable. It seems like Kellen Moore wants his quarterback for the future. He's just going to ride with Derek Carr in the interim until he finds the guy that he really wants. And it seems like he might be using the 2025 NFL draft to start molding whoever he takes at quarterback, if he takes one. It feels like we're going to take one. The question is, do we take one at number 9? Do we take one in the second round? Do we take one later on? I don't know. But it sure seems like, given all of these private workouts and interviews and visits that the Saints are doing with these quarterback candidates, that Kellen Moore is saying that I am going to come out this draft with a quarterback that I like. So then it becomes, how much value do you have in whichever quarterback you like, and where do you take him? Do you take Shedeur Sanders at number 9? Do you take Jalen Milroe in the second round? Do you take Jaxson Dart at number 9? Do you take Jaxson Dart in the second round if he's available? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see who Kellen Moore says, I want to be my guy. Because if we take any quarterback in round 1 or round 2, you're basically saying that that guy is going to be the future of the team. You don't take a quarterback in round 1 or 2 to not play him, right? Unless it's a rare circumstance. You are taking a quarterback to play him at some point in the future. So I am very intrigued to see who the New Orleans Saints take. Admittedly, in my non-expert opinion, I would not be excited with Jalen Milroe at 9. I would not be excited about Jaxson Dart at 9. But if they are available in the second round, at that point, I do not mind the Saints taking the gamble on the quarterback prospect in the second round. Because at the worst case, he doesn't pan out, well, then shoot. Like I said, it all sets up for the march for Arch, as we are saying in the New Orleans streets when it comes to one Arch Manning. So it's going to be interesting, y'all. But Shedeur Sanders is not the be-all, end-all to the number 9 pick. There's a lot of other great prospects that the Saints are going to potentially have their hands in taking in 3 weeks. Y'all want to know about these prospects? Stay tuned after a word from one of our sponsors. Here's a gift just for you for being a fan. Are you going to a sports game or a concert or any major event? Well, buy your tickets from SeatGeek and use the promo code JONO at checkout, and you can receive $20 off your purchase over $50. That's $20 off your purchase. What are you waiting for? You know this shit more than a game, man. Now, I also want to say, folks, before we also close out the show later on, y'all know this is it's a sports entertainment show. It's not just a sports show, but I like to blend in entertainment as well. So if you haven't followed me on Twitter, I had a lot of fun the past few weeks. My family damn sure can vouch for all the text messages I've been sending them with AI. And so what I did was I took some classic Saints moments and I put them in some very, very fun and, in my opinion, entertaining animation styles. And so if you guys want to see some classic Saints moments. I know you Falcons fans want to see, right? Because there ain't many Falcons classic moments, so sometimes you got to live vicariously through Big Brother New Orleans Saints. But if y'all want to see those classic Saints moments in a way that you've never seen it before, stay tuned to the show. And I will say this. I have it on my YouTube screen right now that if I got 5 super chats, I will for sure show you. I just put that because that's the minimum. If I get 1 super chat, I guarantee you I'm not going to care about how much time I have on my schedule. I will show you guys some classic New Orleans Saints moments like you have never seen before. So all it takes is somebody leaving a $2.83 super chat. And if you guys want to see, and Ziggy can show you because Ziggy saw him. And Ziggy's like, damn, Jono, I love my Saints, but I ain't never seen my Saints in this type of light before. If you want to see some classic Saints moments like you've never seen them before, it takes one person to leave a super chat. And we are going to make that happen here on the Jono Barnes Show. But before we get to that, we got more draft talk to talk about, because now let's take Shedeur Sanders out of the equation, okay? Let's say that all of this hoopla about Shedeur falling to number 9 doesn't come to fruition. The Giants wind up taking him at number 5, I believe, and all of this was for nothing. But then who could the Saints take at number 9 then with Shedeur Sanders off the board? Well, here are the top prospects that have been mocked the most by experts, analysts, and media when it comes to the number 9 pick for the New Orleans Saints. You have the edge rusher, Mikael Williams out of Georgia. You have the number 1 rated receiver out the draft, Arizona wide receiver, Ted McMillan. You have the top cornerback, Will Johnson of Michigan. And we all know we probably could use the cornerback help after giving away Marshall Lattimore last season. You have Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. Now, I'm sure fans aren't necessarily excited about the idea of another offensive lineman being drafted with the first-round pick, but I always say you got to build your team to the lines. You can't have a good team if you don't have the lines holding up the quarterback. So you got Armand Membu of Missouri, and this is probably the rare case where a Saints fan would be excited about taking an offensive lineman in the first draft, because you got Will Campbell of LSU. Will Campbell would be like the rare time where Saints fans are actually excited about drafting an offensive tackle in the first round. You also got Shamar Stewart, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. You got Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall. And you got James Pierce, the edge rusher out of Tennessee. So a lot of edge rushers and a lot of offensive linemen on this list. Or we can go with the sexy route of taking a skill position like wide receiver or tight end. I want to know from you guys, who would you take with the number 9 pick if no quarterback was available, okay? So take out Shedeur, take out Jaxson Dart, take out Milroe, take out Cam Ward, take out all of these quarterback prospects. Of these prospects, who would you want the Saints to draft at number 9? Like I said, I know you guys have been waiting with a bated breath on who Jono Barnes is taking. I've had a lot of people in my DMs, a lot of people messaging me, a lot of people commenting on my tweet saying, Jono, I gotta know, man, I'm losing sleep. I toss and turn at night. I need to know who Jono Barnes wants to take with the number 9 pick in the NFL draft. And I will always respond as very this shit more than the game of you. Ladies and gentlemen, if I had the Saints GM role and all of these players were available to me at number 9, I would take, can we get a drum roll? Tyler Warren. That is right. I would take the tight end from Penn State with the number 9 overall pick. Now you might be saying, damn, Jono, a tight end at number 9? A tight end? Like, what is a tight end going to do? Well, let me tell you something. Tyler Warren is more than a tight end, no pun intended. Tyler Warren, in my opinion, from all of the stuff that I've seen, can be a game changer. Tyler Warren can open up our offense in ways that was not possible with the current tight end crop that we have. Tyler Warren can be not only just a traditional tight end, but he could be like a flex player. We could put him all over the field because he has that skill set. Tyler Warren is also an amazing blocker, so you can't open the holes up for Alvin Kamara and whatever running back we draft possibly in the later rounds. I like Tyler Warren a lot. I like his moxie. I like his toughness. I like the fact that I do think that he can be a 600 to 800 yard tight end receiving guy in his first 2 years. And I think that at his peak, he can absolutely be a 1,000-yard tight end. I think Tyler Warren can absolutely be an all-pro. I think Tyler Warren can reshape a bit how we view the tight end position. I think Tyler Warren is going to be a stud. I think he's actually one of the players who has the least amount of questions surrounding him. Like, I've seen a lot of analysts and media say, like, he's one of the safest picks. Like, almost all of the scouts and executives are saying privately, like, yeah, this guy is going to be good. Like, there's nothing to ponder. We know what his ceiling is, and his ceiling is going to be really, really good. I think Tyler Warren would be great. Now, I know Saints fans would probably who don't want him but want somebody else are going to say, man, I don't want a Tyler Warren. Like, all that does is give Derek Carr more weapons. Like, oh, God forbid Derek Carr has weapons, right? But gives Derek Carr more weapons and try to placate him, to saying that he can be a great quarterback and we believe in him. I mean, whether Derek Carr is the guy next year, this year, 2 years or whatever, you got to build your offense. Like, you can't just like tank that hard and say, now we're not going to give Derek Carr any weapons. Like, Tyler Warren is not a Derek Carr pick. Tyler Warren is a pick for the next 10 years, whoever the quarterback is going to be, whether it's fucking Arch Manning, whether we go at the free agency route at that point, whoever the hell, whether it's Jalen Milroe, Jaxson Dart in the later rounds, Tyler Warren isn't a pick predicated on Derek Carr. Tyler Warren is a pick because he's a goddamn dog. He's a goddamn dog. And I would love him. I would love Tyler Warren. I see people like Jerry right now saying, and I've seen a lot of people say this, Tyler Warren is like a Taysom Hill Jr. because of his playing style. Last I checked, we all love Taysom Hill, right? So imagine having a Taysom Hill, a better Taysom Hill. I don't want to take anything away from Taysom Hill. Like, I don't think Tyler Warren can be quarterback or anything like that. But Tyler Warren can open up your offense in ways like that would make your offense exciting. And I like excitement. I just went on a rant about it. I like excitement. So I would love Tyler Warren and his Taysom Hill-like role where we play him at halfback on some plays. We put him on the line. We put him at the slot. He can play multiple positions. He's a great receiver. He is a great blocker. Hell, we could do reverse calls with him and have him run the ball a lot. He is going to be a guy who is damn near like a flex player for whoever offense takes him if the coach has the vision for him. And I want that vision to be in New Orleans. I like Tyler Warren a lot. And I would hope that if he is there at number 9, that would be my pick. That would absolutely be my pick. Now, I tweeted that today on Twitter. And as y'all see, and that's was right before the show. So I probably got over 100 responses now. I got a lot of feedback from that pick. And on the side note, I mean, I think it's real cool. I always say this a lot, but like that, my little small Twitter platform is a spot that Saints fans kind of come to talk Saints, to debate, to analyze, whatever. And I'm the platform that they utilize to talk about all things Saints, hell, all things New Orleans sometimes. I like that. If you would have told little old Jono that his little platform would be a haven for Saints fans to come to, little old Jono would have probably said, well, this shit more than a game. And then little old Jono would have got his ass beat by his dad with a belt because his dad would say, "What'd you say?" But anyways, I'm grateful that Saints fans use my page to talk New Orleans Saints football. I love it. And I do read every single reply. I don't respond to every. I mean, I'm not going to sit back and respond to 93 people, but I do read every single reply. And ultimately, what people were saying from those 93 replies was that I was smart. They also said I'm a dumbass. They say it will be a great pick, but they also say it will be a horrible pick. They say, Jono, you should be the Saints GM. And they also say, Jono, you should be nowhere near the New Orleans Saints draft war room. You got to love Twitter, folks. You got to love Twitter. That's why I said in my opening rant today, draft season, baby. Every fan has an opinion, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I love it if you think the Tyler Warren pick would be great. I love it if you think the Tyler Warren pick would be bad. But that's just who I would want. I'm just a fan like everybody else. I just happen to have a platform to amplify my opinions. But how do you guys feel about Tyler Warren? Or is there anybody else that you want? Maybe you are sold on Will Johnson at cornerback and think that he can be the guy at cornerback now that Marshawn Lattimore is gone. I know a lot of people think that Todd McMillan is going to be a great wide receiver and that he can be that pick for us and we can have a true number 1 receiver because some fans don't think that Olave really fulfills that number 1 role. Some actually are okay with drafting an offensive lineman like Will Campbell or LSU. You're like, damn, we get an offensive lineman and we know that Will Campbell is possibly an all-pro offensive tackle for the next 10 to 12 years in the NFL. I see a lot of polarizing opinions about some of these edge rushers like Mikael Williams and Mike Green and James Pierce and Shamar Stewart. And look, I am of the belief that you build your team through the line. So I'm never going to be mad at the Saints take an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman with a high draft pick. I will say this though, if it's a defensive lineman, the Saints better nail that shit. They better, after Isaiah Foskey, after Marcus Davenport, after Peyton Turner, whoever the Saints take, if they take a defensive lineman in the first round, they better know damn well that pick is a star. That is the one position that if the Saints go defensive lineman, I will have no ifs, ands, or buts. That guy better be a goddamn star because I am tired. And one of the reasons why the New Orleans Saints have been so damn mediocre the past 4 years is because we have absolutely flopped hard on our defensive lineman picks in the drafts these past 4 years. Again, the Peyton Turners, the Marcus Davenports, the Isaiah Foskey's. We have flopped hard. If one of those guys is a star, I mean, we all know how much of a game changer a defensive lineman can be. A sack fumble turns the game around. Now you got an extra win in your winning loss column, and you go into the playoffs. Like, defensive linemen are game changers. The Saints have just been absolutely atrocious the past 4 years at drafting defensive linemen. So if we take one of these defensive linemen, the New Orleans Saints had damn well better make sure that this kid is going to be a star, because we have seen how much flopping on defensive lineman in the draft can set a franchise back. And when you ain't got Drew Brees to save your ass, it really sets you back. So if it is a defensive lineman, the Saints damn sure better make sure it's a guy that they know, that they absolutely know is going to be a star. But let me see what you guys are saying in the comments about who you might possibly want at number 9 if we don't go the quarterback route. Jerry, you already commented on that. My guy, Pele Knight, a.k.a. the biggest bird. His mama calls him the biggest bird. I'm going to name him the biggest bird. He's talking about the Pelicans. He's the biggest Pelicans fan in New Orleans. Believe me, y'all. He's talking about trust the process with the New Orleans Pelicans. I have not looked at the score since halftime of the New Orleans Pelicans game. I see, okay, good. I see the Pelicans are down by 20 points. Good. Good job. Pelicans, stop winning. I don't want no more. We got 4 games left, Pelicans. Do not win. Do not win. Give us the best shots for us to get a top 3 pick in the NBA draft. It's a damn good NBA draft this year. Pelicans, do not be stupid and win some meaningless game in April for team pride's sake. Hell with all that. Lose. God damn it. Lose. I'm trying, Pele Knight. I am trying to trust the process with the Pelicans, but the folks on Airline Draft have not given me much reason to believe in their. So, as you know, it's a little hard for me to trust the process when I don't trust the people right now on Airline Drive. But all that to say, by the way, y'all, we will be live streaming the NBA draft lottery here on the John Barnes channel in a few weeks. So make sure you tune in for that, because I will let you guys know right now, my faith in the Pelicans' future is really going to be centralized on how the draft lottery turns out. If the Pelicans get a top 3 pick, I'll be back in that fanaticism mode and screaming this shit more than a game and having some goddamn hope that the Pelicans can actually do something in the next few years. If the Pelicans do not get a top 3 pick, oh man, if the draft lottery gods are not kind to us and the Pelicans do not get a draft lottery pick in the top 3, I'm letting you guys know right now, you will see a rant of epic proportions. And I know you Falcons fans like to tune in to see my rants when I'm pissed off. I don't do rants every week because I don't want to be inauthentic. You will see a rant like you have never seen before if the Pelicans wind up not getting a top 3 pick. Because I will be so pissed. I will be so pissed at the Pelicans for winning some of these games that they have won the past 2 months, knowing our asses wasn't going to the playoffs, and they ruined our draft lottery odds. I am going to explode, but I'm being patient because it's a draft lottery, right? It's a lottery for a reason. We got Zion and we got Anthony Davis in the draft lottery when we had like the 6 and 8 best odds of winning the draft pick. So I know that you can get a number 1 pick or a top 3 pick, and you don't have to necessarily be a bottom 3 team. But if we don't get a top 3 pick, if we do not get a top 3 pick, I promise you guys, you want to be tuned in when I go live for the draft lottery, whatever day it is. And the NBA hasn't even announced when the draft lottery is. I will be live. And you guys are going to get one of 2 reactions. You are going to get ecstatic Jono, or you guys are going to get boiling point Jono. But either way, you're going to get an epic reaction on draft lottery night. I promise you that right now. I feel it right now. My you see the goosebumps. I feel it. Draft lottery night for the Pelicans is going to be huge for me. So make sure you got that bell hit on your subscription for the John Barnes channel to know when we go live for the NBA draft lottery, because it will be either way a very, very emotional night here on the John Barnes show. As well, I will be live for the New Orleans Saints pick in 3 weeks for the NFL draft. So I know you guys definitely want to see my reaction to that pick. And like I said, depends on who we pick. It might be one of my most popular videos. It might be an average video. Maybe the Saints trade back, and then suddenly, like, casual fans don't want to see a Saints fan reaction to his team trading back. Casual fans aren't going to be in a rush to see if the Saints draft a Tyler Warren or if they draft the offensive lineman, right? But hey, maybe we draft Shedeur Sanders. Maybe we actually take a swing and take Jaxson Dart with the number 9 pick. I'm sure a lot of casual fans are going to want to see that reaction. So if you guys want to see the reaction of yours truly for the draft lottery for the NBA and for the NFL first round next 3 weeks in Green Bay, Wisconsin, tune to the John Barnes show. I will be live for both of those very, very important events for the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans. And I see my guy Ziggy in the chat. Maybe Ziggy might join me for the New Orleans Saints draft reaction show. And I would want to see your guys' instant reaction to whoever we draft at number 9. So make sure that you guys are tuned in and hit that bell notification, because I will be live. And for sure, for the NBA draft lottery stream, you guys are going to get a crazy reaction, because I'm just preparing myself now. I mean, God, if we get the number 1 pick and get Cooper Flag, whoo, boy. But if we don't, if we get the number 4, the number 5 pick, God forbid if we fall to like number 6 or number 7, it's not going to be a pretty night. It's not going to be a pretty night. Either way, there's only one channel where you can get the type of entertainment that you know is this shit more than the game certified. And that's the John Barnes channel. So make sure you subscribe right now. Make sure you hit that like button right now for this show. Make sure you hit that bell notification so you guys can come join me and possibly some of the crew for the NBA draft lottery night and for the NFL draft night as we react to the future of the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans. Mr. Filmer, unfortunately, no, there was no super. I think everybody's saving the super chats possibly for the draft shows, which is okay. Look, man, everybody has. I don't count people's pockets. One thing John doesn't do, I don't count other people's pockets. So I'm not gonna. Look, I'm not the Temptations. I ain't too proud to beg. If anybody does want to leave a super chat, you can. Now, look, I try to reward people for the super chats, right? So if you do want to see some classic Saints moments like you've never seen before, like, hey, let me give you guys a preview. I don't know. Y'all remember how awesome this Dawn Patrol poster was? Like, this was a great moment in Saints fanaticism, right? Like, we all know the Saints Dawn Patrol was the best linebacking core in the NFL history. The best linebacker core in NFL history. I can't be upset. I mean, goddamn, my parents had me when they had me, but like, I wasn't of mature age to really appreciate the Dawn Patrol. I was old enough to know that them boys were some bad mother effers. Like, I heard, I would hear my uncles and my dad and all them, whenever they would watch the game, praise the Dawn Patrol and how the Dawn Patrol get the Saints any shot to win. So I knew that these were some bad boys, and I knew that they were stars in the NFL world. So remember this classic poster that the Dawn Patrol did. Now imagine if we took this poster and maybe we turned it, let's go South Park style. We all know South Park, right? One of the greatest cartoons of all time. How would that look? Well, if I get one super chat, and I see where I just got one. I knew that was going to happen. But I don't know if I really should count this guy as a super chat, because, I mean, he's my co-host. He's my friend. It's like, it would be like me asking him for some bus money. Like, does it count when it's one of your best friends? But we do have a super chat. So hold on. Let me put on the ghetto version, but the version nonetheless of this shit more than the air horns. We have a super chat from the great Ziggy the Beast. And he says, of course, y'all, it's Ziggy. He's always, no matter what franchise, we ain't even got a hockey team yet. And Ziggy's already in our text messages saying, hey, y'all, boy, our hockey team, they might do something. I'm like, Ziggy, we ain't got a hockey team. What you talking about? He's like, yeah, but we already in the hunt. He said New Orleans is in the hunt for NHL teams. You got to love Ziggy, man. Y'all think Ziggy new to this? Nah, Ziggy's true to this. But Ziggy says the Pelicans. We'll see, Ziggy. That draft lottery night is going to be huge for the Pelicans' sake. I appreciate the super chat, Ziggy. I don't know if that really counts though as fulfilling the quarter because again, like I said, I mean it's like if I gave like Apple Pay Ziggy right now the $5 back. You know, we're best friends. Money ain't a thing to the brotherhood that we have. So I don't really count Ziggy as a super chat. You know, I need it from the community. If y'all want to see the the AI versions of some classic Saints moments, again, I'm not asking for $100, but if somebody gives me like a $2.83 super chat, I will give you guys some great classic Saints moments, courtesy of some classic animation styles. We're talking Simpsons. We're talking Disney. We're talking Pixar. Talking South Park. We're talking Family Guy. I know you guys want to see it. So if anybody just one super chat, Ziggy, I appreciate you. I'll ponder it. I'll ponder if your super chat counts as filling that quarter. But I think I want one more from an actual, non-family member, Ziggy, so I can reward the people who tuned into the show tonight. And shout out to over 260 people watching right now across all platforms. Besides even a super chat, which you don't have to do, you're not obligated to do, there is one thing that you can do that is absolutely free. Hey fans, hit the subscribe button in 3 seconds to make this Bucks fan sad. 3, 2, 1. All right, so let me get to some of these comments about who you guys would possibly want at number 9 that isn't Shedeur Sanders or a quarterback. Hakeem says Trey Atmos as at cornerback. Now I like this because they got some. It's not the first round is not the be all end all. So if you want to build a strong team, and I said this earlier this year with the show, this is a very monumental draft for the New Orleans Saints. Like Kellen Moore needs to come out with at least 3 starters, in my opinion, out this draft if he wants to have any type of hope to be here a long term in New Orleans. So you got to make sure you hit on your second round picks and your third round picks as well. But Hakeem says Trey Amos, at cornerback in the third round. Alante, okay, I don't know about this. Alante Taylor is not good on that island. Okay, maybe I can see that. Isaac Yiadom is a bridge to the next cornerback and waiting. We need a running mate with Kool-Aid. I do agree that I like Alante Taylor more in the slot than at the outside boundary. So I would not be opposed to a cornerback at some point in the NFL draft. Jaden says, Jono, I would love Shedeur Sanders as the next quarterback for the black and gold. It would be a dream to have him in New Orleans. And fuck the Falcons fans, and this shit is more than a game. Hey, I love that energy. I absolutely love that energy. Hakeem also says, and now a lot of fans tell me this on Twitter too when I mentioned about possibly taking Tyler Warren. What about Mason Taylor in round 2? He would be a great value pick as well. That way you don't have to take a tight end in the first round. And he is what Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau is in one player, according to Hakeem Batiste. Look, a tight end is not the be-all, end-all. Again, I think Tyler Warren is more than a tight end, no pun intended, but I would not be mad with Mason Taylor in the second round if we decide to go another route at the first pick. So absolutely, if you feel like Mason Taylor isn't that far off from his ceiling to what Tyler Warren can be, then you absolutely can afford to wait to take a tight end like him in the later rounds. But I just think that Tyler Warren, I think, it's like tiers, right? Like this tier, and then maybe there's a tier below, and then, I think Tyler Warren is in a class of his own. So that's why I'm not opposed to Mason Taylor if they got another position that they feel like is better at the number 9 pick, but I'm not going to compare him to Tyler Warren. I think Tyler Warren is. I'm just a fan, though, guys. I'm just a fan, just like all of you guys. Juddy Bear says, can we believe that Julio Jones retired this past weekend? I can. Also, now here's what I can't believe, Juddy Bear. Did you know that Julio Jones has more fumbles than touchdowns against the New Orleans Saints? Look it up. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to talk shit. Julio Jones has more fumbles against the New Orleans Saints than he has touchdowns. Things that make you go, I will say this. I'm going to be nice to the Falcons fans. I would put Julio Jones in the Hall of Fame. I think Julio Jones was way better than what Bucs fans hype up Mike Evans to be. I think Mike Evans is a fine player, but not at any point in his career that I believe anybody besides if you're a Tampa Bay fan feel like Mike Evans was a top 3 damn near top 5 wide receiver. Never easily, nobody ever said he was the best wide receiver in the league. There were times where you could say Julio Jones was the best wide receiver in the NFL. And that is one player who I do believe should be in a Hall of Fame. I don't think Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer. I don't. Sue me. I damn sure don't think Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. I do think Julio Jones is a Hall of Famer. That's my one nice thing I'm going to say to the Falcons fans. But look it up, Falcons fans. Julio Jones has more fumbles than touchdowns against the New Orleans Saints. Hakeem also said, Hakeem's like my draft expert apparently tonight. Will Johnson or Will Campbell should be the pick at number 9. Why? Because of shit more than the game. No, he didn't say that. He said because they will be day one starters at premium positions we desperately are looking for starters at. I'm not mad at that, Hakeem. You're very much right. A cornerback or offensive tackle is much more valuable than a tight end. I absolutely agree with that. But I do think Tyler Warren, again, I'm not saying this to start a campaign to sell t-shirts or anything like that. I do think Tyler Warren is more than a tight end. I'm not looking at Tyler Warren from a tight end lens. I'm looking at Tyler Warren from a game changer lens. I mean, we saw what Dallas Goedert did to the New Orleans Saints when the Eagles played the Saints this year. Oh, who was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles? Hey, Kellen Moore. Who broke that game for the Eagles? We were about to win that game. It was 3rd and 16. And Dallas Goedert caught a 60-yard pass to lead the Eagles to an ultimate victory. And then the Saints season went kapoosh. A tight end can be a game changer. I think Tyler Warren's ceiling is way higher than Dallas Goedert. So I saw what Kellen Moore did with Dallas Goedert. I can imagine what Kellen Moore can do with someone like Tyler Warren. So my argument to the positional value argument is that Tyler Warren is more than a tight end. I understand that, yes, cornerback is more valuable in the NFL than tight end. Offensive tackle is more valuable in the NFL than tight end. But I just do not view Tyler Warren in that tight end lens. I view Tyler Warren as a game changer. Same way I don't view Taysom Hill as a quarterback. I view Taysom Hill as a game changer. I think Tyler Warren can be a game changer. But I would not be mad. I would not be mad if it's Will Johnson or Will Campbell. Absolutely not. I would not be mad at that. Bruce Saints says that he wouldn't mind Tyler Warren, but he thinks that the number 9 villain. And I was actually very high on Tyler. I fell into the draft albatross of reading too many about Ted McMillan and the people saying that, well, he's really only the top prospect in this draft because it's a weak wide receiver draft class. And if he would have came out in prior years, he probably would have been like the number 5 wide receiver on a lot of draft boards. And I just can't escape that now. Like that thought has been resonating in my head for so long. Like, okay, is Ted McMillan really like that great at wide receiver, or is it just a weak draft class that he's the best of what's available? See, I want to draft somebody who in any draft class is like, oh, that guy's a dog. He's not the top dog in a specific year because of a weak counterparts of his draft mates. He is a dog, period. I think Tyler Warren, whether it was this year, last year, next year, whatever, people are going to say he was a dog. He was that guy. I think for some players, like Ted McMillan, maybe even like a Shedeur Sanders, great players, possibly, but you're saying that it's because of his counterparts. Like, there's not a high quality of quarterbacks this year. Thus, Shedeur Sanders is a top prospect. There's not a high quantity of wide receivers this year. That's why Ted McMillan is the top prospect. Again, I'm just a fan. God bless you if you take my shit and take it to the bank, but that's just how I feel. So I'm not gonna be mad though, like if it's Ted McMillan, but I do think that Tyler Warren is more. He just has more of that can't miss prospect to me than Ted McMillan. Jerry says he still also thinks that Ted McMillan will be the pick at number 9. He says the Saints need a big body receiver. Yes, we absolutely do need a big body receiver. I know the Shedeur Sanders hoopla is going on, but we need a big body receiver like McMillan. We absolutely do, y'all. We do need a big body receiver right now. All of our wide receivers are 6 feet or under. Talking about Olave, talking about Shaheed, and talking about Brandon Cooks. Now, welcome back, by the way, Brandon Cooks. I have not been on the show since Brandon Cooks was re-signed. He seems to be like he's going to finish his career where it started. Hopefully, he does not get jealous if Olave or Rasheed he takes all the targets the way he got jealous when Michael Thomas came in and took his spot as the number 1 wide receiver. But wow, that is a nice speedy core of wide receivers with Brandon Cooks, Shedeur Sanders, Chris Olave, and Rashid Shaheed. These are all very small body receivers, and all 3 have had their fair share of injuries. So yes, we do need like that big, strong wide receiver to kind of counter it. Kellen Moore even said you want your wide receiver core to be like a basketball lineup, right? Like a variety of sizes. You want that center, you want that power forward, but you also want that point guard and shooting guard. But right now, our wide receiver core is a bunch of point guards. We do at some point need to draft a small forward or power forward like type figure at wide receiver to balance it out. Will that be Ty McMillan? Time will tell, but I would prefer Tyler Warren if it comes down to those people. Cartel Bro says, he says this in all caps, so I guess he was yelling, y'all ready to consider Jalen Milroe and Jaxson Dart or Shedeur Sanders? Y'all tripping, son. We're just fans, Cartel. We can only go by with the media, and nobody really knows, right? It's not that the team is putting out there who they are targeting. It'll be interesting though. Now look, Cartel, you got to do your homework on these quarterbacks. Like, if Shedeur is not there at number 9, you can't be like, oh well, there's no quarterback this year because we ain't look at any other quarterbacks. You got to get every quarterback. Clearly, Kellen Moore wants to draft a quarterback of the future. To do that, you gotta draft a quarterback. So if it is a Jaxson Dart or a Jalen Milroe, you gotta do your homework on him. Now, again, I agree with this logic. I do not want those 2 at the number 9 pick, but I'm not mad at the team for doing their homework and doing extensive research on these quarterbacks, because if Kellen Moore at any point says, okay, this guy's available, I see something in him, I want to kind of mold him and see if he could be my quarterback going forward, you want to make sure you did all the homework that you could have on that guy. So I'm not mad at the Saints for looking at quarterbacks, but it does also, as you said, depend on where we take a quarterback. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hit the This Shit More Than a Game ghetto version of the air horns. See, when we ain't got Ziggy to produce it, we kind of got like that news delay. Because we do have another super chat. We have another super chat from Ziggy. Ziggy says, does this one count? This one is for my boys, Jerry and Slims. All right, y'all, because Ziggy, y'all, this is why y'all should really give Ziggy his flowers. This is because of Ziggy, y'all. This doesn't feel like super, like, congratulations. My best friend gave me $10 tonight. Thanks, Ziggy. I'm gonna go get a nice lunch with that. Because of Ziggy, y'all, we will, in this next segment, show you guys the New Orleans Saints classic moments like you have never seen them before. So here's what I want y'all to do, though. Here's what I want y'all to do. I want y'all all in the chat right now to simply put thanks Ziggy. If you are still watching this show, in the chat right now, put thanks Ziggy, because this next segment is now going to be officially sponsored and courtesy of one Ziggy the Beast, who hopefully will be joining the John O'Bone Show on draft night to give his instant reaction to whoever the Saints take, along with Lord knows what my epic reaction might be. So everybody in the chat right now, because of this next segment, it's possible because of him, put thanks Ziggy in the chat right now. Before we get to that, let's close out with some of these final comments from some of these fans. Rudy Verdon says, we need guards because that's what killed us after McCoy went down. I, again, am never going to be opposed to drafting offensive linemen in the first or second round. You have to build your team through the lines. I absolutely agree with that. So I would not be mad at that, even though I know a lot of fans will be, because, again, I can't buy an offensive lineman's jersey. It's what fans say when you draft the offensive lineman in the first round. Bruce Saint says, I simply want the best player available. I am not focused on a position. I agree with you, Bruce Saint. Whoever the Saints do have as the best available player, I hope it's Tyler Warren, personally, I am going to be okay with. Whether it's an offensive lineman, a defensive end, a tackle, a cornerback, wide receiver, quarterback, whoever. If they feel like he's the best available player, take him. Really, excuse me, I ain't gonna even try to pronounce his last name. Relly says, I would take Higgins over T-Mac. And I see a lot of people saying that Higgins is just as good or close enough to Ted McMillan. So again, that's kind of what I've been reading a lot about too, Relly, where I kind of lowered my hype a bit on Ted McMillan, because I was like, okay, is Ted McMillan really the best guy when they got some other prospects that people are saying are going to be just. I saw, you know what really set me over the edge about Ted McMillan? I was watching Steve Smith video, and Steve Smith, he had an interesting offseason, huh? But he was ranking the wide receivers, and he was like, I don't think Ted McMillan is that special. I really don't. I think Ted McMillan is getting a hype because of the wide receiver crop this year not being all that special. So Ted McMillan is like the best. He's the, forgive me if you take offense to this. He's the world's tallest midget. I like to use that comparison. He's the world's tallest midget in the wide receiver class this year. And I take Steve Smith's opinion, obviously, with great value, being that he was one of the best wide receivers of all time. So not that his opinion, you should take it to the bank, but that was one of the things that really made me say, you know what? I think I'm leaning out more towards someone like Tyler Warren than T-Mac. But I will say this. If it is Ted McMillan, if McMillan is a pick, I promise you, I will welcome that kid with open arms and say, you know what, Ted McMillan? You are this shit more than the game certified. Welcome to the city of New Orleans. It's going to be interesting, y'all. I appreciate everybody believing the dang Ziggy in the chat. Because of him, you guys are going to get a very fun, entertaining segment to close out the show. We will find out, y'all, who is going to be the next New Orleans Saint in 3 weeks. Will it be Shedeur Sanders? Will it be Jalen Milroe? Will it be Jaxson Dart? Will it be one of these guys? The future is uncertain. But one thing is for certain. And that is this shit more than a game. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered, what if you went to a coma after the Will Lutz field goal against the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs, and then you woke up today, April 8th, and somebody told you all of the things that has happened to the New Orleans Saints since then? Well, I did. Here's what that might look like.
Oh, hey, you're awake. How long was I sleeping?
Actually, you've been in a coma since 2018. It's 2025.
2025? The last thing I remember was Will Lutz hitting that 43-yard field goal against the Vikings with 25 seconds left.
Yeah, you got pretty excited. Jumped up so hard you hit your head on the ceiling fan, and you've been out since.
Wow. I can't believe I missed us go to the NFC Championship game.
Oh, we didn't go to the championship.
What?
Yeah, Stephon Diggs caught a 61-yard game-winning touchdown with 10 seconds left.
How did we give up a 61-yard? Was it like a hook and lateral miracle or something?
No, we just kind of missed an easy tackle and poof, off to the races he was.
Oh, man. But I mean, after that elite 2017 draft class we surely went on one of our greatest runs in franchise history, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And how many Super Bowls did we win?
Zero.
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 Yeah, the Chiefs have kind of won most of them since then.
The Chiefs. With Alex Smith.
Nah, Pat Mahomes.
Wait, didn't we almost draft him?
Yeah, tough shit, but hey.
Well, at least that was certainly no bigger heartbreak for Saints fans to deal with after giving up a 61-yard game-winning touchdown to the Vikings.
About that.
Huh?
So how was it like being in a coma for 7 years?
So let me guess. I missed the end of Drew Brees' career.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who was the heir apparent?
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston.
Yep, after a 30-touchdown season with the Bucks.
Wow, he must have really came around.
He threw 30 interceptions that year, too.
How the hell?
Yeah, after Brady went to the Bucks.
You must be talking about our assistant, Joe Brady, because ain't no way.
Well, he's had a crazy career path since then, too, but nope. Tom
Brady went to the Bucks.
Yep.
And Jameis Winston to us.
Indeed, and he's like the second most popular quarterback in New Orleans history now after Drew.
Well, gee, Jameis must be lining it up down here then.
No, he only started half a season, really.
What?
Injuries, I tell you. And that wasn't even like the top 3 injuries we've had since 2018. Boy, the injuries we have had.
It's a good thing Coach Payne is elite at withstanding adversity.
He's not with us anymore.
Come again?
Yeah, he retired.
I mean, after 2 decades in New Orleans, I guess he deserves a nice retirement.
Well, actually, he only retired for a year. See, he took some bullshit gig with Fox Sports, and now he's the coach of the Broncos.
The Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Payne left us for the Denver Broncos.
Pretty much.
He left young, healthy, elite players like Marshawn Lattimore and Michael Thomas.
About that.
Well, who did we replace Sean Payne with?
Dennis Allen.
8-28 record with the Oakland Raiders, Dennis Allen.
And get this, the fans were actually excited about it.
Well, he must have had some quarterback he latched on to for that to happen.
Derek Carr.
So Sean Payne and Drew Brees left us, and the New Orleans Saints say in order for us to sustain the greatness that those two brought to us, we need to be like the 2014 Oakland Raiders.
And the fans were actually excited about that, too.
Man, ain't no way.
For like a month.
Yeah, let me guess. Dennis Allen and Derek Carr proved to be Dennis Allen and Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm.
And let me guess some more. Dennis Allen got fired.
Yep.
Well, that was a shock.
Even though Mickey Loomis really didn't want to.
Huh?
What's that?
And Derek Carr, where's he playing now? Derek Carr. Where is he playing now? Derek Carr is still our quarterback. Hey, look, shut up. So President Trump is about to go address the nation. You want to go watch? But you said it's 2025. How is Trump still president? Whew! Buddy, buckle up for that one.
Oh, boy. I mean, when you put it like that, it's been a rough 7 years, right, guys? When you put it in that way, somebody would have told you all of those things in January of 2018. You would have been like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. God bless the New Orleans Saints and God bless America, huh? I'm glad, by the way. I do personally believe that was one of my more creative and better skits. And you never know where a skit is going to really blow up at. Crazy enough, like TikTok is probably my least engaged with platform, and that one, it has over 87,000 views and 6,000 likes on TikTok. Yo, I never get that many. Excuse me, 9,000 likes on TikTok. I never get that much engagement on TikTok. So you never know. You never know when I post my skits and stuff on every platform. You just never know which one is going to really take off on. But I felt a little bit vindicated that TikTok showed that one some love, and everybody was showing love on. And now I got like 500 new followers on TikTok. So I don't know, y'all might be seeing the TikTok version of John Bones coming soon. Now y'all might be seeing me doing them little TikTok dances and stuff. I follow the money. Make one thing clear. John Bones follows the money. If TikTok is going to show me the money and give me engagement like that, y'all gonna see me doing them dumbass TikTok dances. I have no soul. All right. Speaking of having no soul, a lot of fans last week were a little bit disappointed at me on Twitter because I utilized artificial intelligence with this new feature that ChatGPT has, that you can animate your life's precious moments and animation styles of a variety of ways. I think it's a very funny, a very entertaining, and a very cool feature. A lot of people don't seem to agree because, man, did they open up some of the floodgates to random people, a lot of random people. It's usually like whenever people are mad at me on Twitter, a lot of times it's like random people who don't even follow me. Like, motherfucker, you don't even follow me. Why you adding me? Just ignore me, mute me. Like, you don't follow me. But it's funny. Like it started like a whole damn debate about the ethics of artificial intelligence and the morality behind AI. And I'm the wrong person, guys, to try to have that. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm just being honest. Go debate with a scholar professor or something about AI and its place in this world. I'm a kid who saw that I can make family photos of us look like the Simpsons and I'm having fun with it. Like, it's no different to me than Lord knows when Facebook put out these goddamn filters and Instagram where you could turn yourself into a cartoon, or you could put a frame over your photo. And I mean, was that unethical? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm John Bones. I'm not taking any AI photo that I do and selling it. I'm not putting any business out of work. To be honest, some of these AI photos that I've done the past week, I'm considering going and getting them printed out and framed. So technically, I'm actually giving business to the Costco, not the Costco, the Kinkos and the FedExes and printing machines and all that. Like, they're actually getting business now because I am using this feature. Like, there are actually some businesses that are actually doing good now because of AI. Because I damn sure wasn't going to be in a rush to go print out a caricature of me the past week, but now that I have the ability to do it, I'm like, oh shit, this is actually a pretty good one. I got kind of, hang that up somewhere in my little soon to be top of the line This Shit More Than the Game studios. So all that to say, look, I know that AI is a very nuanced conversation. Okay, I know that just like anything in life, you put it in the wrong hands and it can turn pretty sour. But at the end of the day, y'all, you gotta just relent to the fact that convenience wins. Like, we are a culture, the Western civilization culture that we have here in America, of convenience. We like convenience. Okay, was everybody feeling so bad for Blockbuster when DVDs came in, and then essentially when Netflix really came in and shut them down? No. You know why? Because everybody was like, hey, I can now watch my favorite movie from the click of my remote. I ain't got to go pick it up. I ain't got to go have a physical copy of it. I can just hit a button on my TV and poof, there it is. Anybody feel bad for the multi-billion-dollar record labels when CDs and vinyls now became a thing of the past because, hey, I can just put up my phone and the song is right there. I ain't got to go to the store anymore and buy a physical CD, open it all up, buy a CD player and all that. I have it right here in the palm of my hands. No, breaking news, guys. Americans like convenience. Hell, the world likes convenience. If you give us something that we can do with the touch of a button, we're going to do it with the touch of a button. So yes, I do know that some jobs and businesses and industries are now going to be a bit at risk of being really affected with AI coming in and really changing the game. And the Lord knows what AI is going to look like in 10, 20, 30 years. I absolutely get that. I empathize with people. I will say this. This is a tough world that we live in either way. Sink or swim. Sink or swim. It ain't like we ain't see this coming. If you feel like your job or business or career is affected by AI, you better start thinking now of a way to sink or swim. It's not a fair world, but it's the world that we live in. I promise, this is my promise to everybody who got mad at me on Twitter, I'm not going to utilize AI to try to take somebody's job. I'm not going to use the art that I have and go set it my damn self. I'm not going to. Ironically, I've paid artists in the past for caricatures of me, of Simpsons photos of me or whatnot. But I'm sorry, if there's an app that I can create in 30 seconds, a picture of me and my family as the Simpsons, I'm going to use it. Sue me. I'm going to use it. So that was just my little mini rant before we get to this segment, because I posted some of these photos on Twitter and Lord, like, again, like, I don't know how, I mean, it's the beauty of the internet, right? But like people who don't follow me, like making it seem like I was like the devil. I was Satan himself for daring to use it. I'm like, God damn, y'all, it's just a picture of my goddamn dog as a comic book. Good Lord, what y'all think I'm gonna do with that? What artist do you think is at risk of me making my dog a comic book character? Get out my face with that. I bet y'all wasn't expecting a debate about the ethics of AI on the John O'Born show tonight, huh? That's why I say it's a sports entertainment show. But if you are affected by AI in a negative way, turn off the show right now, because what we are about to do, courtesy of one Ziggy the Beast, thanks for sponsoring this segment, Ziggy, is we are going to take some classic Saints moments and we are going to re-envision them in some of the classic animation styles that we have all grown to know and love. And Falcons fans, y'all definitely might want to stay tuned for this segment as well. So let's start off with the most classic moment in Saints history. We all remember it, right? Tracy Porter pointing to the skies and the heavens above. God damn it, we all knew in this moment the New Orleans Saints were Super Bowl champions. I would never forget this moment. I remember my family and all of us going, wow, it is a moment that, oh man, I am glad that I believe my mama recorded. This was before like iPhones and everything was really advanced. So it's kind of like fuzzy footage, but I do have footage of like the moment when we realized we were Super Bowl champions, and they can never take that away from us. Falcons fans, y'all still searching for this moment. God bless y'all. Y'all still searching for this moment. But we as Saints fans got to live this moment. And this was the moment that we all knew. Holy crap. The New Orleans Saints are about to be Super Bowl champions. No matter what happens in the future, and Lord knows it wasn't a great future. No matter what happens in the future, we all can now go to our deathbed saying that we witnessed our New Orleans Saints as Super Bowl champions. Now, what if we took this moment and we turned it into a Ghibli animation? Well, look how that would look. Isn't that cool, y'all? Isn't that cool? Like, even Peyton Manning kind of has that look in his eye. Like, oh, well, if I'm going to lose the Super Bowl, I might as well lose it to my favorite team growing up, right? What amazing thing the power of AI can do. So that's why I like AI, y'all. I'm sorry. That's cool. I'm like, goddamn, I can do that in 30 seconds with AI. That's cool. Taking the classic moments like this and putting it in Ghibli animation style. What a great moment that was. What a great moment that was. But what was the most iconic photo from that Super Bowl win, of course, was Drew Brees holding his kid in the air as the confetti fell down and those Super Bowl champion lights flashed all across Miami. It is an amazing, incredible moment, not only in Saints history, but in NFL history. And shoot, maybe Jalen Brees might one day be a New Orleans Saint. How poetic would that be, right? Now, what if we took that moment and I say, how would that look if it was in Lego animation styles? We all love Legos, right? We all love the Lego movie. How would that look? It would look something like this, y'all. Isn't that cool? Look at that. Look at Drew Brees as a Lego. Even in Lego form, Drew Brees is the GOAT. How awesome would that be? I bet you Drew Brees will love this photo. I bet you Drew Brees, if he saw that photo, wouldn't be like, oh, man, how dare you use AI? That's a pretty cool photo. Now, here's a really great moment. It didn't win us a championship, but it damn sure felt like a championship in the moment. We all remember when Shy Tuttle stepped on Matt Ryan into the Netherlands. Oh, does it feel good to be the big brother of the Atlanta Falcons? My God, does it feel good to be the big brother of the Atlanta Falcons? We were like destroying the Falcons during this little era of the New Orleans Saints. Like even Cam Jones, even my guy Cam Jones was getting into the action. He was like, shit, let me get some of this action. Fuck Matt Ryan and the Falcons. So how would that look, y'all? Is anybody a fan of Jim Henson and the Muppets? How would that look if we put this classic moment in the New Orleans Saints and Atlanta Falcons rivalry into Muppet form? Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you come to the John O'Barnes Show, because it will look something like this. That's my favorite. I think this is my favorite. Now, look, AI is not perfect because they have Cam Jordan in this photo as the one doing the stiff arm when it was Shy Tuttle. But I think AI might be confused with the fact that Cam Jordan sat Matt Ryan so many damn times that it automatically went to where, and this must be Cam Jordan in the photo putting Matt Ryan on his ass. Either way, Cam Jordan actually told me this photo was hilarious, so I guess Cam Jordan is pro AI. What a moment in Saints history, and how hilarious is it when it is in Muppet form of the New Orleans Saints owning the Atlanta Falcons. Now, a personal favorite moment of mine for the New Orleans Saints was when one of my favorite Saints players of all time, Joe Horn, bought the cell phone. Again, y'all heard my earlier rant about loving when the Saints are relevant, loving when the national media is talking about the New Orleans Saints. The Saints weren't necessarily the most popular team throughout this era because we made the playoffs in 2000, but then we went on a run where we were not making the playoffs, thus falling off of the national radar. Joe Horn was one of those players who kind of kept the Saints relevant to casual fans. And one thing that he did that really made the Saints the talk of the town was when he pulled out a cell phone after scoring a touchdown. And this was when like elaborate celebrations was taboo to traditionalist NFL fans. So for like a week, it was just debate after debate about should Joe Horn have done this? Does this disrespect the game, et cetera, et cetera. As a fan, I was just excited at the simple fact that one, my dog Joe Horn was getting a deserved spotlight on him because he was one of the best wide receivers of that era. And two, I was like, wow, my New Orleans Saints are in the national, like the Saints were leading off Sports Center. We get spoiled by it with Drew Brees and Sean Payne, but for the longest, the New Orleans Saints folks never let off Sports Center. The New Orleans Saints was never a topic on the ESPN shows. For like a week, the New Orleans Saints was a topic of every sports show locally and nationally because Joe Horn put out the cell phone, and I absolutely loved it. What if we had Joe Horn do this in South Park form? That is how it would look in South Park form. What a moment. Now, again, AI does need a little work because they didn't even have the cell phone in this photo, but I'm sure if Joe Horn was active on social media, he would enjoy seeing his classic cell phone touchdown celebration in South Park form. Speaking of, when we did win that playoff game in 2000, we all remember the great moment, right? I know Sean loved this. When Hakeem drops the ball. Hakeem drops the ball. If you are a diehard Saints fan, you always know the answer to the trivia question of who is Brian Milne. Brian Milne is the guy who recovered that fumble to secure the first playoff victory in Saints franchise history. I said, well, shoot, let's go traditional with this route. What if we had this as a comic book? Bam, just like that. Look at the face on that Rams player. I said this to Sean. Sean blocked my number. I never felt more vindicated in my life. And what a great moment in Saints history that was when we beat the greatest show on turf, St. Louis Rams, to win our first playoff game. I guess I got the last laugh with that dumbass no call, but they can never take away this moment from us. We all know the This Shit More Than a Game Mount Rushmore recipient, Eric McCoy. And one of his classic moments to Saints fans is when he finally kind of told Derek Carr enough is enough and snapped on him. Now, we had Eric McCoy on my show. He mentioned that it wasn't personal. He was going through some things in life. Everybody was kind of just frustrated with the performance of the team. It was a moment. It happened. They moved on. But still, it was a classic moment to a lot of New Orleans Saints fans. Now, y'all remember shows like the classic animation styles like the 70s and 80s of Speed Racer and stuff like that? I said, what if we put that moment in a 70s or 80s style animation? How would it look? It would look something like this. They really got Eric McCoy's features, huh? Look at that. Derek Carr looks like he's spooked. I love it. I love AI. I'm sorry. I do. I also loved when the Saints were going on one of their greatest runs in franchise history, and every game was a club block party in the Saints locker room. And we all remember after we beat the Carolina Panthers, how wild the locker room. I believe this was the Carolina Panthers. I don't know. We won so many damn games during this era. Like every week, it was a party in the locker room. But I want to say this was after we beat the Panthers in the playoffs, or it was after we beat the Washington Redskins in that crazy come from behind game that we had no business winning. Either way, it was a moment in time damn near because we never felt so close to a Saints team, and we were like, wow, this team is really close. Like, this team absolutely loves each other. Hell, if you look in the back, you see one Dan Campbell. I mean, goddamn, I wish Dan Campbell would have waited the year to take a job. He could have been the Saints coach, huh? But what a locker room we had, what a coaching staff we had. Actually, if you look to the left, you even see Aaron Glenn right behind Drew Brees. What a coaching staff we had, right? You got Sean Payne, the Denver Broncos head coach, Dan Campbell, the Lions head coach, Aaron Glenn, the Jets head coach. Man, we had a goddamn squad. We had a squad. Can't believe we didn't win the goddamn Super Bowl. But we do have the memories like this to make up for it. And what if we made this moment into a Peanuts Charlie Brown style animation? How would this classic moment look? Folks, it would look something like, they really captured Ted Ginn's look. I like that. They really captured Ted Ginn's look. You got Sean Payne doing his little West. Are we having fun, y'all? Are we having fun in the chat? There's only one show where you get content like this, and that is the John O'Born Show. But we're not done. We all remember when Reggie Bush brought the wood for our 2009 playoff run, which led to our eventual Super Bowl championship. In our first game against the Arizona Cardinals in the divisional round playoffs, Deuce McAllister re-signed with the Saints to be our honorary team member. He led the team out. Reggie said, I'm bringing out a goddamn bat because we are about to bring the wood to the Arizona Cardinals. And we wind up bringing the wood indeed and whooping that ass. We all remember how iconic this photo was of Reggie Bush leading the team with the bat and Saints Hall of Fame and Deuce McAllister right behind him, rejoining the Saints for the playoff run. How would this look in Family Guy style animation? Hey, now I will say, I don't think Deuce McAllister would probably be too appreciative of this type of animation style that came out because they kind of made him look more like a defensive lineman. I mean, I know Deuce was kind of at that point not at his peak self, but he wasn't that big the way the animation made him look. But it was still a cool moment to see in Family Guy style animation. We all remember before the heartbreak of the no call the week before, we played a very tough game against the Philadelphia Eagles. A game that was way too close to comfort, in my opinion. But Marshawn Lattimore picked off Nick Foles with the game on the line, and we wind up beating the Philadelphia Eagles as Alshon Jeffrey, the one who the ball bounced off his hands, laid on the Superdome turf in misery after the New Orleans Saints defeated the Eagles, and we were on our way to the NFC Championship game as Cam Jordan stood over Alshon Jeffrey. Not to taunt, I think he was really checking on him, but the photo is almost like the Ali photo when he knocked out Spinks. You just moments in time that you will never, ever forget. Now, how would that look if we made that look like the Muppets? Well, I don't know if it's necessarily really. I don't know if AI was trying to say Cam Jordan is like a bear or whatnot, but that is what AI Muppet style photo. Creepy about this photo, besides Jeffrey, is look at the referee in the back. I mean, I don't know if that's a referee that didn't call it a goddamn no call, but it goes to show referees are the Danes of nightmares when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. Now, I think we all, if you're true to the New Orleans Saints fandom and not new to the New Orleans Saints fandom, remember when we traded our whole draft class for Ricky Williams. Can you guys imagine if we did that during the Twitter era? Can you guys imagine if I was a content creator and I'm live streaming a draft and the breaking news comes out that the New Orleans Saints have traded their whole draft for one player? Boy, the reactions that would have caused. It's kind of regretful that social media was not a thing when the New Orleans Saints traded their whole draft class. Never been done before. Damn sure will never be done again because Mike Dicker was absolutely sold on Ricky Williams. It did bring the Saints into the national spotlight. It did get the Saints some relevancy, and it had us on the cover of the ESPN magazine, the classic cover, Mike Dicker and Ricky Williams in a wedding dress. Controversial. I mean, everybody was kind of ragging on Ricky Williams for daring to put on a wedding dress in 1999. I mean, that type of shit is actually kind of smiled upon these days, but it was controversial in 1999. Well, maybe it would not have been as controversial if they did it in Disney animation style. That almost looks like a Beauty and the Beast type thing, right? Like you gotta love it when it's Disney style. It's a little bit more acceptable to see Ricky Williams in a wedding dress. When it's Disney animation style, when you wish upon a star. Mike Dicker wished upon a star, but that didn't work out where Ricky did it. Mentioned earlier, the classic Dawn Patrol poster, the greatest linebacker corps in NFL history. They should have had a championship, but goddamn it, the 49ers kept shutting the door down on them. How would this look in South Park form? of the great Pat Swinning, Vaughn Johnson, rest in peace, Sam Mills, rest in peace, and Ricky Jackson, Hall of Famer. It will look something like this. Even in South Park animation form, these guys are badasses. What a poster, what a linebacker core, what a time in Saints history. But the greatest, arguably, time in Saints history that was not the Super Bowl was when Steve Gleason blocked the punt from the Atlanta Falcons as the New Orleans Saints reopened the Superdome after Hurricane Katrina. After all the people say that the Saints would never go back to New Orleans, for that night, the world was watching as the New Orleans Saints symbolized that the city of New Orleans was back. And in a poetic fashion, on the opening drive, the Falcons go 3 and out. They go for a punt, and Steve Gleason, it couldn't happen to a better guy, blocks the punt that makes the Superdome go into an uproar. You would have thought that the roof was coming off that goddamn dome. And we knew in that moment, Chris Berman has a great line. He said, not even the 1972 Dolphins was going to beat the New Orleans Saints on that night. We went on to beat the Falcons 23-3, and that night is forever symbolized by Steve Gleason blocking the Atlanta Falcons, Michael Conan punter, and of course, as usual, New Orleans Saints owned the Atlanta Falcons. My favorite show of all time, folks, is The Simpsons. I said, how would this classic moment look in my favorite animation style of The Simpsons? It would look something like that. I like that they made the Falcons player look like Bart Simpson. Like, oh boy, because you see Steve Gleason had it on his mind. See, in this photo, the real photo, the punter doesn't really know yet what's about to happen. On this photo, the Simpsons guy knows that, oh boy, I'm about to get my shit blocked. And the New Orleans Saints went on to beat the Atlanta Falcons and open up the Superdome. So guys, that was just kind of like my little fun moment for you guys, a little fun way to do the show. I mean, God, we can't just talk about draft talk all the time, right? We got to do something a little different here on the Jono Barnes Show. But I know what you guys are thinking. Wait, Jono, what about some classic moments in this shit more than the game era of Saints content? Being me. Well, there are some great moments in Saints history that comes from yours truly. Not to brag my own horn, but remember when Eric McCoy came to my house? The first NFL player ever to come to a fan's house to do a podcast. I still don't think it's ever been done since, and I haven't think it was done before. How would that look if we made ourselves puppets? Well, thankfully, they didn't make me look as scary as the Cam Jordan and Alshon Jeffrey Muppets. But this is how me and the great Eric McCoy will look as Muppets. Now, I don't know. Eric McCoy looks a little bit less excited as a Muppet to be in This Shit More Than the Game studios than he did in real life. But you got to admire the details of this. I mean, they got the shirt right on this and everything. Like, that's a good Muppet photo of me and Eric McCoy. I sent that to Eric McCoy today, actually. He had a good laugh about it. And finally, look, it wasn't always happiness when it comes to my content, right? Again, I've been doing this content for 4 years now. Ironically, it was the 4 years that we have not been to the playoffs. So a lot of the times it usually leads to moments like this where my wife is just nagging my ear off about this shit not being more than a game. She'll learn one day. But one way that she could really learn, I say, you know what? Let's turn this negative moment into a positive moment. I say, what if I made this like a Disney Pixar style animation, right? Like I said, Disney always makes unique moments in history, even if they're not too positive. They make it just seem a lot better because of the Disney magic. So what if I put a little bit of Disney Pixar magic to this moment of my wife nagging me amongst a sea of purple jerseys doing that stupid Skulls chant? How would that look? Well, thanks a lot to Disney Pixar. They actually made it look a lot better. They put a nice little smile on my face. Even my wife, actually, instead of looking like she's nagging at me, she looks like she's kind of whispering sweet nothings in my ear, like, I love you, Jono. You're the greatest husband of all time. And yes, this shit is more than a game. It's not this OLL. You see, not AI isn't always perfect, which is why I actually appreciated that they got this shit more than a game right on the one with Eric McCoy. But on this photo, that Disney magic, baby, it took a moment like this and turned it into something very, very magical. Ladies and gentlemen, this AI more than a game. I hope y'all enjoyed that segment. Again, what other show will you find content like this? I'll wait. Exactly. No matter what, we all know that this shit more than a game, and now you can wear it with pride. Visit www.jonobarnes.com or thisshitmorethanagame.com and buy your This Shit More Than a Game shirt now.
for the low price of $28.03. You can buy it in black and gold, purple and gold, white and blue, red and navy blue, all types of colors. We've got you covered here on the John Barnes Show. So visit www.johnbarnes.com or thisshitmorethanthegame.com and buy your This Shit More Than the Game shirt now. And let the world know, folks, this shit more than a game.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everybody joining me tonight as we discussed about the upcoming NFL draft. It's definitely going to be a very interesting but very long 2.5 weeks as we wait for the number 9 pick to be called on that stage, and we see who are we going to welcome to the city of New Orleans. Would it be Shedeur Sanders? Will it be another quarterback? Would it be Tyler Warren? Would it be Ty McMillan? Would it be an offensive lineman? Would it be a defensive lineman? Only time will tell. Hell, would the Saints trade back? We are going to find out, but it should be a great, great time come draft night, no matter what. Again, I will be live for the NFL draft to get my instant, authentic reaction to whatever the Saints do. I will be on this channel so you guys can react in real time with me. And hell, we'll see what the Falcons do too. We'll see if they pick another player that makes their fans disillusioned into thinking that they are this close to being contenders. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being patient with me the past few weeks as I was not on live because I had to transfer to the brand new This Shit More Than a Game studios. I know you guys don't really see it now, but you will see it in the upcoming weeks. We're going to have a top of the line studio. You guys are going to love it. You guys are going to absolutely love it. I hope you guys love it the way I absolutely love you guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Hit that goddamn bell notification, y'all, because in the upcoming weeks, when we go live for draft night and we go live for NBA draft lottery night, that is going to be content that you do not want to miss. And you know why? Because there's shit more than a game.
Juno.